Welcome back to part 3 of Vehicle Design course. In this session, we'll be focusing on building the defense mechanism. By the way, if you have no idea what's going on right now, make sure to check out my playlist where you can find all the previous part of this course. Alright, now let's get started. First, let's start by building the saw blade, the one that destroys anything that dare to come close. So, I'm going to move this up a bit, then scale down the cylinder and position it properly by moving this up again. Now let's add a cylinder, scale it down, position it right here and make it a bit thinner. Then pull it down and rotate it to align perfectly with the existing shape. Apply shade auto smooth, adjust the rotation and bring it closer to the model. Let's select the small cylinder, switch to face mode and select the bottom face. Let's move it slightly down. That creates a simple base connection. Now to make sure it doesn't overlap, let's get it smaller and move slightly back. Next, select the main cylinder, apply scale and switch to face mode. Select the top face and run a chamfer for a smooth edge transition. Then enable box cutter. Now, let's perform a small circle cut here and press B twice to activate radial array and increase the count to form multiple teeth, then extrude the cut inward. It's a little bit off, so let's trace the operation and press G to move it. You can enable the array again and add a bit more separation between each circle for a better distribution. Once you're happy with the placement, adjust the position and make the cut. Now let's make one more circle cut, this time pretty larger. Place directly at the center, push it inward and apply bevel, then cut it. Now smart apply and switch to edge mode and select these outer edges, run a chamfer to define the edges cleanly. To fix the shading issue, let's add few more loop cuts, then smart apply again and finalize the geometry. Back to face mode, enable proportional editing by pressing O and select the space and move the space up slightly to add a bit of form variation. Looks good. Now switch to object mode and mirror the object to the other side. Next in face mode, let's duplicate the space, move it downward, then separate this piece to make its own object. Select this new piece and go back to face mode. And cut it up slightly, not too much, just enough to give its presence. Since this is a blade, we need it to feel razor sharp. So let's make it thinner, like really thin, and bring it closer to the main shape. Apply the scale, go to edge mode, and select both faces, then run a small chamfer to sharpen the edges. To make it even sharper, select the loop edge and slide it upward slightly, just enough to leave a tiny gap between edges. Now I'm going to select this top face and give it a slightly insert. Let's repeat that twice to get a clean, defined edge. Now select this entire face loop, then go to checker deselect. Set the selected value to 3 and deselected value to 3. This gives us a nice alternating pattern. Now switch to object mode, mirror it down. Now with both edges selected, right leg, go to loop tools and choose bridge to connect the geometry smoothly. Now we can mirror the blade to the other side as well. Also, select this top piece and mirror it to the bottom to keep everything symmetrical. Let's remove this mirror modifier for a specific piece, then reapply it. That makes sure it mirrors correctly. Now let's duplicate this blade, move it downward, and once again remove the mirror, duplicate this new piece and bring that further down. Using mirror, I'm mirroring it on the global Z and x-axis. And then just adjusting the position slightly to align everything perfectly. Now there's some small gap between the two blades. And to fix that, I'm going to isolate this mesh, insert the face, and then extrude it outward. That makes it feel a lot more logical and well connected. Next, this front piece looks a bit boring, so let's make it visually interesting. I'm adding a few loop cuts to the front and back for better control. Then select one random vertex and move it up. Enable proportional editing to get a smoother result for more organic curvature. Now it has a nice flowing shape. To add a bit more detail, I'm going to add a cube. Peel it down, move it to the center, and make it even smaller. Then scale it down on the Z to make it flatter. Now I'll rotate it slightly on the X and position it right at the middle. Then scale it up on the X-axis and move it a little along the Z for balance. Apply the scale, switch to H mode, and maybe give it a tiny rotation tweak on the X-axis again, just to make it feel more natural. Now, select these two edges and run a bevel to soften them out. Finally, mirror it to the other side and then chamfer the front face to give it that polished, finished look. Now for the blade safety guard, I'm going to start by selecting a few edges at the back, then press Shift+D to duplicate them and separate them into a new object. Next, select this new mesh and go to Edge mode. I'm selecting all the edges, then extrude them back, then down, and finally forward. That gives us the basic form of the guard. Right now, it's looking a bit thin and fragile, so let's add solidify modifier to give it some thickness. But it still feels like a bit blocky, so I'm going to add subdivision modifier. Set the level to 2, then duplicate the modifier and set this type to Catmull Block. I don't know how you guys pronounce this, but yeah, just switch to this type. Now I'll select the outer edge and extrude them out forward. Then move them slightly upward to match the flow of the model. Let's also adjust the solidify thickness and make it stronger and push it forward a bit. Set the subdivision value around 2 and that should feel more polished. Now, let's work on this piece in isolation. I'm apply the solidify modifier and go to X mode and start refining. Select a few faces and give them a nice insert. And then extrude along normal. That instantly add a nice layer of the detail and strength. Next, I'll select the cylinder, switch to face mode and grab the top face. Let's pull it up, give it a chamfer and then insert and extrude inward. That creates a clean, reinforced top surface. To finish off the detailing, I'm running a rectangle cut across this area, give it a small bevel and cut it clean. Then simply mirror the changes to the other side using machine tool. Lastly, I'll move on to this giant cylinder, select both faces, insert them slightly, then extrude along normal and push them inward to give it a solid, engineered look. And finally, run a bevel across those sharp edges to soften them up, giving the whole structure that polished, functional finish. Alright, next, I'm setting my cursor to the origin point of this object and add a cylinder. Let's rotate this 90 degrees on the Y and scale it down. Now switch to top view and move it a bit to the left, somewhere around here. Let's bring it up like this and start refining. In face mode, I'm selecting this face and scaling it down slightly. Then I'll add a loop cut and run a bevel, reducing the segment count a bit. Now select the space loop and extrude it along the normals. Let's add one more loop cut here and give it another bevel. Then again, extrude the space along the normal direction. Next, insert the face, go to select and choose checker deselect. Set the deselect value to 1 and extrude those spaces outward. Now run a small chamfer to remove the sharp edges. Back in face mode, I'm selecting the face loop once again and extruding them along the normals. Now switch to object mode, set the cursor here and add another cylinder. Scale it small, rotate it, bring it forward and move it to the left side. Now pull it up and push it slightly backward. Next, I'm adding a loop cut, sliding it a bit and cut it up slightly. Then run a nice bevel. Select the space, run another bevel with 3 segments. Then grab the same face, insert it and extrude. Finally, scale it down a bit. Add another loop cut, bevel it and extrude the face along normals. Now, select this 2H loop and perform a clean chamfer. Finally, add one more loop cut, run a bevel and extrude it outward. To finish this section, select both objects and mirror them to the other side. Next up, I'm going to add a cube. Let's scale it down, adjust the position and move it up. Make it even smaller, something like this, and slightly scale them on the x-axis. Apply the scale and switch to edge mode. Add a loop cut, grab this edge and run a chamfer. Back in object mode, let's move this up and enable box cutter. Set it to N-gon and start tracing the shape. And fill the cutter and apply a bevel, then cut it. Now select these 2 edges and give them a nice bevel. Move it to the right. Perfect. Alright. Go to edit mode. Select these side edges and run a chamfer. Now apply the boolean and go back to edge mode. Select those same edges and chamfer them again for a smoother look. Next, add a loop cut. Bevel the edge and extrude the face along normals. Then scale it down slightly on the y-axis. Now insert the face, extrude it inside and scale it down a bit. Switch to front view. Point the cursor here and add a cylinder. Scale it small, flip the cylinder and scale it down again. Bring it a bit forward and scale it along the y-axis. Now apply the scale and go to face mode. Add a chamfer to this face. Then insert the face, extrude it inside and apply shade smooth. And finally, mirror the objects to the other side using machine tool. That already looks kind of like eyes for the design. Next, let's duplicate the cylinder and move it somewhere here. Rotate it 90 degrees on the Z and move it back. We can scale it up on the X just a bit and move it down. Go to edge mode, add a loop cut and scale it to the right. Then run a small bevel and extrude the face along the normals. Now chamfer these 2 edges, which gives us a more mechanical feel. Here, I'm adding another cylinder. Rotate it, scale it small and also scale it a bit on X. Bring it to the front, move it down and push it slightly inside. And apply the scale and switch to face mode. Now chamfer this face, then insert the face. And finally extrude it inside. Do another insert followed by extrusion, and chamfer this face like that. Then add a loop cut here, slide it to the right, and bevel it, and extrude the face along normals. Like always, chamfer this 2-edge loop for a smooth mechanical touch. Next, I'm going to add a cube and scale it small. Bring it to the front, move it down, make it narrow on the X, and position it at the center. Tweak the scale slightly and go to face mode. Grab the top face, extrude it out, then extrude once more. Add a loop cut, slide it up, and select the top face again, move it slightly on the X, then grab the middle edge loop and bevel it. Before that, we can delete this extra edge to keep things clean. Then run a bevel again. Now select these 2 edge loops, make a small chamfer, then apply auto smooth and mirror the changes. I noticed the sharp lines are fading gradually, so I manually mop these edges sharp to bring back them. Also the top face, I select everything and mop them sharp. Next, grab the box cutter. Start from the bottom, drag it all the way up, and extrude it out fully. Then press Enter to confirm. Now smooth apply and go to edge mode. Select this one edge and delete it. Then grab this next one and bevel it. Alright, next up, I am pointing my cursor here and add a cylinder. Scale it down, flip it on the X, and move to the center, so it fills the gap nicely. Move it slightly, just like this, and apply shade auto smooth. We can scale it down a bit more and position it at the middle. Then extend the size on the Y at that. Finally, let's mirror everything we made so far to the right side. Now, let's place a sci-fi machine gun on top of our vehicle. I've actually already built this model before, so instead of creating it from the scratch, I'm going to reuse it. You might be wondering, how the hell are we supposed to get that model? Whoa, don't panic. I've got it covered. I've uploaded a detailed tutorial on how to model this exact machine gun from scratch on my channel. You'll find the link in this video description, so you can check it out anytime. Alright, now let's bring it in. I'm simply copying this gun model and pasting it right here in the scene. Let's move it up, rotate it 90 degrees on the Z, and adjust the rotation to make sure it's perfectly centered. We'll delete this extra geometry around it, and since it's looking massive, let's scale it down a bit. Now I'll position it in the middle, get it even smaller, and fit it properly. Let's bring it slightly forward. Now that's started to looking intimidating. Next, we need to connect this gun to the base. I'm going with a simple connection design. So, I'll select the cylinder and jump into edge mode. Here, I'll add a loop cut, then roll the edges slightly. Now, let's extrude this inner section to form a nice clean transition. Add another loop cut to the left and one to the right. That will help us to define our shape. Then, select a few faces on the both sides and switch to front view. And extrude them up to shape the connection. Now back in object mode, I'll delete this large cylinder that doesn't need anymore. With those faces still selected, I'll move them slightly inward. Just like that, to tighten the connection. Next, let's select cube. Scale it down, bring it to the center, and get it up on the Z to stretch the shape. Move it slightly down and make it thinner for a sleek profile. I'll rotate it slightly on the X, then move it down to fit under the gun. Now I'll duplicate this rectangle piece, rotate it on the opposite direction, and move it down as well. Let's scale down on the X, then apply scale and jump to face mode. Then select these two outer edges and run a full bevel to smooth out the corners. And then merge by distance to clean up the overlapping vertex. Next, I'll select these two faces, then press F to fill them, and perform a small chamfer for smoothness. Once that's done, here are the changes across the other side. Finally, I'll select the connector piece, switch to face mode, and chamfer both side faces as well, giving the entire mount a nice finished look. Let's point the cursor to the center and add a cylinder. Scale it down, then rotate it 90 degrees on the Y. Now, position it somewhere around here. Let's move slightly back and scale it up on the X-axis. Apply shade smooth for a clean surface. Next up, I'm drawing a thin rectangle shape on the top face, something narrow, and then extending all the way up. Let's give it a small bevel and cut it. Now, I select this shape and move it downward to align better. Then switch the cutter tab to circle. Position it at the center and then press tab to freeze the operation and push it inward for the cut. Now smart apply this piece and switch to face mode. Select this main face, insert it and extrude along normal for that. Finally, chamfer the face to smooth out the edge transition. Here, I'm adding a cube. Scale it down and move it to the left. Let's bring it up, make it even smaller, and lift it slightly higher for better proportion. Now switch to edge mode. Add a loop cut and slide it to the left. Then select these two edges and give them nice chamfer. Now select this edge, run a bevel, and do the same for the bottom edge as well. Next, Alt select the side edges, maybe isolate to select everything, then run a small chamfer across them for consistent. It actually messed up the sharpness, so let's mark these edges sharp to bring back the defined structure. Now since the mirror modifier doesn't work properly, I'll use Symmetrize tool instead. Set the direction to positive Y, and that should mirror everything cleanly to the other side. And then select this and mirror it to the other side. Alright, that wraps up this part. In upcoming section, we'll focusing on refining the detail and polish the overall design. Alright folks, I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.